Yo people, welcome back to Run's Tech Hub. And as you can see from the thumbnail and from here as well, I have a Raspberry Pi 400. I'm just going to do a quick unboxing, go through what's actually in the box. But I also have a Raspberry Pi 400, but the 8GB version. The Raspberry Pi 400 only comes with 4GB of RAM, but it comes in a keyboard and with all the accessories you need. This is just a typical one I bought off Amazon or eBay, I believe. A fully fledged Raspberry Pi. But before I get into this, let's show what this has, so then I can show what's actually inside of this by showing you this. Right, so this is the box the Raspberry Pi 400 comes in. Let's go around the box quickly. So we have the GPIO readers here, well, the headers, sorry, so we can still access the GPIOs from here. So I'm guessing what they did, they have extension cables running everywhere inside of the keyboard to give us access to GPIO, so this is really good. Next we have the micro SD card slot. We have two micro HDMI, and I actually have an HDMI cable here, well, a micro HDMI cable, which is going to go from here to my two monitors, so I can actually use this as a fully fledged desktop. I've got two cables here with me, 1 and 2. I'll show how that works as well later on. I have a USB-C for power. I've got two USB 3 ports, and I have only a single USB 2 port. Okay, not sure why they did that. They might have used it for other things. We have the Ethernet port here. On the front, we just have the normal Raspberry Pi box with the keyboard here, the mouse hanging out of it, and that's it, nothing special. But this is actually what the device will look like when I get into the box. So hopefully that's clear enough. Under here, nothing really noteworthy. Well, we do have some specs under here. So let me read the specs quickly. It says, obviously, Raspberry Pi 400, we have a USB mouse, we have a power supply, we have SD card, HDMI cable, and beginner's guide. So there's actually an HDMI cable that comes bundled inside of the box. And on this side, we have the specs. So let me just pick this up and read it. I mean, I'm sure most of you guys already know what the specs of this are if you're watching this video. We have a quad-core 1.8 gigahertz CPU. We have 4 gigabytes of RAM in this one. It's actually DDR4 3200 megahertz. That's actually really good. Obviously, once you can keep it cool enough. We have dual band Wi-Fi, so 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. We have two USB 3.0s. We have one USB 2.0, which is what I showed there. The typical Raspberry Pi, the normal one, has actually two USB 2.0s and two USB 3.0s. We have the GPIO headers, I've mentioned that, two micro HDMI. They both support up to 4K 60. I'm not expecting much from that. Again, you're going to need really good cooling to drive all of that stuff. Multimedia, not going to care about that. SD card support, we have a micro SD card, and we have a keyboard which is a 78 key compact keyboard and a USB-C power cable. That's it. Right, so you slide the box out like this. Let's move this to one side, and you have the tiny thing here to open. So put your finger there, pull up. Let's see what's inside of this. Open. So first and foremost, you're greeted with the keyboard. So this is the actual keyboard and also the actual Raspberry Pi. So let me just put my finger here, pull this out. Very compact, very nice, very neat. I was actually worried about how they would cool this, but I can see they have two vents here. So I'm going to make the assumption that there is a fan system somewhere, an intake or extractor fan somewhere that will actually get the hot air out or cool air in. So they do have two vents here for cooling. We have rubber feet at two rubber feet at the bottom, at the top. So when you put the keyboard down like this, rubber feet are here. So it prevents the keyboard from sliding. We have 2 feet here, but they're not rubber, but the two at the top should stop it from sliding. As I mentioned before, we have Ethernet, USB 2, two USB 3s, a single USB-C for power. We have two micro HDMIs. So again, I can drive 2 monitors with this. Micro SD card and the GPIO pins. I guess I have to peel this off, which I won't do right now. We have a 78 key keyboard. To be fair, it feels nice. This is a keyboard I could type on. So I have the Dell 14-inch 7840, I believe, or 3840, I believe it's called, and the keyboard feels very similar to that, and that's a very good typing keyboard in my opinion. What I don't like is it's very squashed, and I mean, I have large hands, so for me, this might be an issue, but for smaller people with smaller hands, you should be perfectly fine. Let me put this to one side and see what else is in the box. So let's just put that there. And let's see, we have, what's this? We have the official power supply, so that's what that is. We have What's this? That's just a mouse, a Raspberry Pi mouse. So they give you a mouse as well. So this one unit is everything you actually need other than a monitor, of course, to get a fully fledged single board computer up and running. You don't have to have any other accessories other than a monitor. They give you the power cable, they give you the mouse, they give you the keyboard with Raspberry Pi. And let's see what they have on here. Oh, here we have the SD card. So let's see. This is just the adapter. So they've already put the SD card in the Raspberry Pi. So let's take that back and have a look. Yep, SD card already inserted. There we go. So I shouldn't need to do anything other than power this on. I do want to do an update, so I will do that on screen as well if possible. So again, that's the SD card there. And oh, okay, this is the micro HD. This is very thick actually. This is a very good cable. It's a very thick cable. So this is the micro HDMI cable which you get from them. Again, I'm going to put this with one side. And we have a Raspberry Pi beginner's guide. Quite a thick book. Hopefully they have a QR code I can scan to get this, because this seems very, very thick. And I'm not a fan of paper books because it's just a lot harder to search and find things. Whereas if this were a PDF, which I'm sure they have a PDF version, if this were a PDF, I could do Control F in my document and search for this thing I want to search for. But this is nice. This is a very good entry-level book. This is a very good setup for someone who's interested in the Raspberry Pi to actually get started. Let me put this back. I think it was in here like this. I'm going to leave the mouse and keyboard, put them back in. The only thing I actually need is a power cable, because I don't have a power cable, a plug powerful enough to drive the Raspberry Pi. I do believe it was 15 watts is what you needed. So this is like 5 amps, 3 volts, something along those lines. So I'm going to keep this out and set my system up. I might as well put this back in the box as I already have it. I don't need this. So what am I going to be doing with my Raspberry Pi? I am going to be teaching Unit 19 on BTech Level 3 IT, and it's labeled Internet of Things. What is that exactly? It's simply teaching IT students the very, very basics of IoT, the very, very basics of embedded systems, microcontrollers, computers. That's all it is. It's very basic, but it does give them a nice entry level into that world. Before I go any further, what I'm going to do as well is show you what the normal Raspberry Pi looks like. So this is it here. This is the 8GB model. This is what it looks like here. So all the stuff that's on here is expanded from this tiny board here. So there's a version of this that's built into this keyboard here, like so. I mean, not exactly like this, but you know what I mean. So again, we have our Ethernet port here, and here we have our 2 USB 3 ports. Here we have our 2 USB-A ports. At the back again, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack. I think this does RCA as well, so video out, but very low quality video. We have our micro HDMI ports. We have our USB-C port for power. And when I do this is something that I'm not sure how to get to it from the keyboard version. We have a camera port. I don't remember which one is which. My eyes are really bad, but we have a camera port, a CSI, a camera serial port, and we have a DSI, a display serial port. So I can actually plug in a touchscreen display onto this board, and I can actually plug in a camera. Now, the camera thing might not be as useful unless you're trying to build a really well integrated tiny system, because what you can do is plug USB cameras in here and they work perfectly fine. I've been using it for years like that and they work perfectly fine. On this side, we have the GPIOs, and here we have the processor. I believe that one is RAM. I don't remember which is which, but that one's the processor for sure. The biggest one normally is a processor. Here we have, I think that's the Wi-Fi card, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card. And here we have some other chips. I don't remember what all these chips are for, but not really important for this level. That's what's actually built inside of this keyboard here. Hence the name Raspberry Pi 400. We have a Raspberry Pi in there with 4GB of RAM, and it gives me all the functionality I need for a desktop PC. So hopefully that doesn't damage anything. Here we go. Next thing is to get this all connected. So it's going to be very awkward for me to show. but let me get this out. This is my USB-C. Oh, this is the European plug. That's going to be a problem. I didn't know that that's what it had, but I do believe, yes, I have an adapter for my toothbrush, which should work fine. Here's my toothbrush adapter. That should work fine. So simply plug that into here. And there we go. That's going to give me that. Now, this is not ideal. I hoped I'd gotten a different one, but it is what it is, I guess. Alright everyone, here is the Raspberry Pi setup I'm going to be using. So I've got two monitors here, monitor 1, monitor 2. I've got the Raspberry Pi here in the keyboard obviously. I've got the mouse attached as well. I've got the power cable attached, which I'm going to plug in now. Yep, that's powering up. Let's see what the boot animation looks like. I might have to change the source. Oh no, didn't have to do anything. So there we have it, powering up. Resizing root file partition. Yep, that's all going good. It's rebooting now. Right, so there we go. We're booted to the Raspberry Pi desktop. But I think my monitors are swapped around the wrong way. Yep, they're around the wrong way. So this should be monitor 1, that should be monitor 2. I should be able to change it, but let's just quickly have a look at this. Welcome to Raspberry Pi desktop. Click next. Country, UK. Language, British English, London. Yep, use English. Is this the English keyboard? I don't think so. Well, this is a European one actually, because I remember the plug was European, so this is probably a European one, but I'll leave it as that for now. I'll skip password for now. Yep, leave this alone. Search for network. So I'm going to connect to my network. Let's see if it actually finds anything. Yep, it has found quite a few. So let me connect. All right, so that's me there connecting to the network. Let's wait for that to finish. I know there's going to be a lot of updates. These Raspberry Pis, I mean, they always have updates to be fair. So let's see what updates are present. Here we go, straight away update software. Next, synchronizing clock. So it's just trying to make sure that we have the right time and the right date so that the clock can be synchronized so that we can update properly. In the meantime, let me right click and see if I can get to desktop preferences. Oh, error checking for updates. All right, done. I'm going to do something first, which is just to see if I can fix my monitors because I don't like the way it is right now. So let's see if I go to desktop settings. I'm actually not sure how to do this, but let us see. Can I zoom in on here? Let's see, control and zoom. Maybe edit, zoom in. There we go. What was it? Shift, control and plus. Shift, control, plus. Let's zoom in as much as I can. The first thing I like to do is do update and upgrade, but let's see if I'm connected properly. It says I'm connected, but let me just quickly do a speed test to see what speeds the Raspberry Pi actually gets. Now this is the Chromium browser that comes with the Raspberry Pi, so let me just do speed test. All right, so here I got my speed test. Let's see what the Raspberry Pi 400 is giving us. Run speed test. Ooh, that's not great at all. 40 megabits. Ooh, I should easily get 100 on the network I'm on. I'm the only person connected at the moment. I'm the only person doing anything on here. Yeah, the upload speed is typically 10 megabits, so maybe this is correct. Maybe there's something hogging the resources. But in any case, I'm going to close this. That's what I got. Let me test again. Let's see if it changes. No, not really. All right, let me close that. Let me do sudo apt. Oh, this keyboard is a bit small for me. Apt get update. Right, there's no password, so it shouldn't ask me for anything. Now this is going to go and look for all the packages that need updating. And if I sudo apt get upgrade, It's going to try and upgrade the version of the software that's on there. 0 newly installed. Okay, it's saying that everything is updated, which is strange. So that was the unboxing experience for the Raspberry Pi. This is the desktop, and again, my monitors are switched around the wrong way, but just like you would on a normal desktop, you have everything you need on here to get started. At least you have your Wi-Fi, you have your Bluetooth, you have a very basic web browser in here. I think this is Chromium. If it decides to open, let's click on that one more time. Yeah, this is Chromium. So we have the Chromium web browser. In the menu, we have stuff for programming. We have quite a few IDEs on programming languages. We have stuff for education. We have not Microsoft Office. We have LibreOffice instead. Internet, we just have Chromium and a few a few email clients. So we have Clawmail for email. And we have VNC Viewer. We have Sound and Vision, VLC Media Player. So we have, again, quite a few pieces of software to get us started. And with a web browser and the internet, we can go and get whatever we want at this point. So what am I going to be doing with this Raspberry Pi again? I'm going to be using this for Internet of Things. Reason being, IT guys or IT technicians, the people that do IT in schools, or in my school at least, they actually don't want me connecting to their network and using Linux and downloading stuff and pushing stuff and texting and emailing and connecting to other Raspberry Pis and pinging each other. They don't want me doing any of that network stuff on their network. It does make it somewhat more vulnerable because they don't have any control over the devices I'm using. So I understand to some degree. So what I've actually done is I've gone and got myself a 4G modem. So I'm going to plug the Raspberry Pis into this, some of them anyway, and some of them I'm going to be using Wi-Fi to connect my Raspberry Pi to this for Unit 19 Internet of Things. And then I'm going to be able to have the students program what they want to program. But I just think in general, the Raspberry Pi is a really, really nice device because, again, for roughly £100, let's say, right, you have a fully fledged PC, you get a keyboard, you get your mouse, you get your HDMI cable, you get everything you need to make a start in the world of embedded systems, the world of IT, the world of Raspberry Pi, the world of just learning, because this is going to force you to learn Linux. It's going to force you to learn so many things. And it's a very capable little device. For £100, you get quite a bit. The fact that I can run 2 monitors, so let's drag this one over here. The fact that I can run 2 monitors potentially at 4K 60 on a device that's less than £100 is pretty impressive in my opinion. So here I've got my screen 1, which I need to change, and screen 2 on this side. So screen 1, screen 2, very capable device. But let me know what you guys think about the Raspberry Pi, what projects you would want to do with the Raspberry Pi. I have so many projects I have in mind. So please comment, like, share, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Peace.